welcome. We're in the corporate headquarters of WeWork India here in Bengaluru. Now, who chooses to work out of the many WeWork India offices in India? Well, all kinds of people. You've got Fortune 500 companies, you've got multinationals, and you also have individuals. Maybe an individual with a startup dream, or someone who is perfectly happy being a one-person enterprise. Today, we'll be talking about how WeWork caters to all of these different needs. And also, beyond infrastructure, we'll be talking about the culture of the company. And joining us today to talk about this, Megha Agarwal, who is Head of Brand and Marketing here at WeWork India. Also Santosh Martin, Chief Revenue Officer. And Priti Shetty, Chief People and Culture Officer. Megha, to start with you. WeWork has just come out with a new brand campaign film, Great Inspires Great.
Yes.
Could you tell us something about the story of this and what you're hoping to achieve with this campaign?
So the core idea behind the campaign is to showcase to the world, and you've covered it really well in terms of the kind of people who actually come at a WeWork location. The idea is to showcase the diversity of people who are welcome at a WeWork location. Everybody feels very themselves here, and they're able to connect and collaborate with a larger community to achieve their version of great. When we started working on the campaign, we actually connected with members across board, from individuals to startups to MNCs and Fortune 500s. And one thing that came out consistently was how WeWork has been a large enabler in their journey to growth. And what was also very interesting is they went beyond and looked ahead of just good, and they wanted to unlock great. And there have been some beautiful stories that have unlocked for people who worked out of a WeWork location. And it's also a large USP for us, which differentiates us versus competition. Our inclusivity and our great culture is at the core of the brand. It's so-called the DNA of the brand. Okay. And what is the USP is a large global community that is very, very unique to WeWork as a brand, which is very difficult to mimic otherwise.
All right, and your inclusivity, I believe, includes pets as well.
Yes, it does. And we made sure that it is visible in the film.
All right, the doggies are welcome as well. Okay, yes. Fantastic. Now, Santosh, we have come through this enormous event, the pandemic. It's sometimes unbelievable to look back on it and think of what we've been through.
Yeah.
And one of the ways the pandemic has changed the world is the way we work. How did it impact office spaces, workspaces initially and later on as well? What were the changes?
Nobody could have planned for this, right? And so people were getting used to working from home. Initially, offices were shut. People had to work from home with all the distractions that it came with. And I think the needs are still evolving, right? The companies are still assessing what they need to do with their real estate, how they get people back to office. And as we've, coming out of this COVID pandemic, people are embracing a new hybrid way of working, right? And I think that's driven by four important factors, right? One is convenience. People want to work closer to home instead of commuting to and fro from their office. Firms want more agility and the flexibility to expand and grow within their offices. Employees definitely want a better work-life balance, which, earlier wasn't available as much. And I think more importantly, clients or employers and companies want to give that work-life balance to their employees as well. So the flex spaces have really evolved over the last couple of years. A lot more corporates are looking at flex spaces as the go-to spaces instead of traditional real estate. And I think it will keep continuing as things go forward.
It had started already, but I'm guessing the pandemic really sort of pushed it forward.
Absolutely.
The fact that work could be done in a different way.
Yes, it is. I mean, and as people come back to work and not be on Zoom calls anymore, I think the hybrid model is the way forward, right? And it'll evolve as we go forward as well.
When you talk about WeWork, Priti, we talk about the culture, the community, as Megha mentioned as well. You're talking about a global community. Tell us more about that. What do you feel is important about that? Why is that important?
So I think at WeWork, when we think about culture, we look at it from two lenses. One is how is it impacting our business outcomes, but more importantly, how are we building this absolutely great place for our workplace for our people. And all our touch points with our employees, whether it's through multiple employee surveys or just conversations, people tell us that they absolutely love our culture. And that shows us that people are not just emotionally engaged with our brand, but also rationally engaged with our brand. And that's a great outcome for us to have. We've also been recognized as a great place to work. We are on the GPTW list now, so that was great validation of our efforts on inclusion, on equity, on diversity. I think also another element is about the hybrid and flexible working. We were amongst the first to actually offer this to our people. Our people have the flexibility to work from any of our 40 plus buildings from across the country, so they can pick a building nearest to their homes. But we also have this unique concept called Collaboration Mondays. So this is the day when everyone comes into the HQ in each city. We have all our leadership meetings. We agree on the focus areas for the week. We have this animated debate, healthy conversations which sometimes can't be had virtually. So I think we've managed to give them this great balance of a sense of community, but also the flexibility that caters to their personal
Absolutely,
needs.
because virtual communication is not quite the same as face-to-face. And we are heading there, of course. This is a hybrid work culture which is growing more and more, Santosh. And while, of course, there is nothing to replace face-to-face communication, online communication did grow more during the pandemic. How is WeWork adapted to this hybrid culture, which is increasingly being seen now?
So I think you mentioned in the initial part that we cater to a varied set of people, right? So whether it's large multinationals or startups or individuals. And with those evolving needs of these customers, we've launched a few new products in the last 12 months. One is the WeWork On Demand, which is a daily pass that individuals or enterprises can do. They go to a microsite, select a building of their choice across the 40 plus buildings that we have, go to that building and work for the day, right? And they pay for it online.
Just one day.
Just one day, you can do it.
For one day,
you can do it for a day. You can bundle it for a week. You can pre-book it a week in advance. So you select the building that you want to go to. The second one that we launched is the WeWork Business Solutions, which basically caters to our member base and provides them all kinds of support services from insurance or cloud services, technology-based services, where most of the members, which are startups and mid-sized businesses, don't want to have or have the time to actually look into multiple such products. The third one that we launched was a virtual office. Today we have over 1,200 members on that platform who use our virtual office platform to have an address. And we made it completely digital, right? Everything is online. Within a couple of minutes you get the NOC, you get all your agreements done, and you just have a registered office immediately. The last one that we've recently launched, it's not recent, it's been a year now, is the Managed Offices by WeWork. Now that basically caters to large corporates who want their own office in the building of their choice, and we customize the whole product to the requirements of the clients.
Whichever building they want.
Whichever building within our portfolio, new buildings across any other markets other than the 6 cities that we are present in.
Okay, fantastic. Megha, coming back to you, this is the festival season.
Yes.
You've launched this new campaign. And the festival season is a time really where companies go all out trying to attract the customer. And there's a lot of noise out there.
Correct.
What is the best way really to get through to the consumer, do you think?
So I think it's every marketer's dream and ambition to be part of the festive season. Not surprising, because that's the time when people are willing to spend. It's an occasion everybody at home is celebrating, the big monies are out, and you are in that mode where you're willing to spend irrespective. Right? But I also think as a marketer, and at least as a company, we are very, very digital first. Performance marketing and ROI is really, really big for us. And while festive season looks very lucrative from a participation point of view, it's also very expensive and very high on clutter. And therefore, unless brands make a very focused effort to bring out their best self and a campaign which emotively connects with consumers, you will get lost in the clutter.
You'll just be spending more money and...
Exactly. So everybody is promoting their brands. There are discounts across board because consumer is seeking value right now. And unless you can cut out and do purposeful communication, which is human and real, you will be just one of the other brands. And that's why, we did a communication which is very, very differentiated, very real, very human, and very, very fundamental to the DNA of the brand. And this is just the campaign film. And as we edge further into the festive season, all the products that, for example, Santosh talked about, On Demand, our space as a service solution, and Managed Office will come out as 3 separate product campaigns in that sense, and they will also sort of start supporting the larger Great Inspires Great campaign. So we focused and kept it very true to the brand, and that's how we're seeking differentiation. So we're just about exiting our campaign to a sustenance phase once the festive season hits, and therefore we've gone live now where the clutter is less.
Just ahead, so that is
just
like
ahead, yes.
Okay, all right. Now, Priti, we've spoken about inclusion, diversity. These are buzzwords which you hear everywhere now, and people are realizing the growing importance of this. How is WeWork talking about this? How is WeWork actually doing something about greater inclusion and greater diversity?
Yeah, I think for us, inclusion is a critical business driver, to be honest. I strongly feel that our spaces need to reflect the diversity that we see in the community and in the society. Only then we can actually make people feel welcome, feel safe and comfortable. And if we have to achieve that goal, we need to reflect that diversity in our own workforce. I'm very proud to share that, we have 46% women in our workforce, and we have 39% women on our leadership team, which is definitely best in class in the sector in which we operate. We've also been named as in the top 50 in the Great Place to Work, Best Workplaces for Women in the mid-size sector. For a young company, I think we've made a lot of headway in this space, and I think what differentiates us from a lot of other organizations is a very vibrant employee resource group culture. Okay. So these are basically employee volunteers, and they really take action towards various strands of diversity. This could be sensitization, education, awareness, even policy enablement. Coming back to us, I think we've done a lot of work on the policy front, right from our parental policies to our holiday policies. But I just want to talk about the insurance policies. So we were amongst the first in the sector to actually extend medical insurance benefits to the partners of our LGBTQIA plus employees. So yeah, we're very proud of that. And if you just look at our spaces, right, 75% of our buildings have a mother's room. We have gender neutral bathrooms. We have wellness rooms. So it really shows in the way we think of design and execute as well in our spaces. I feel like the diversity has to ultimately translate into strategy and execution, so that when every member walks in, they feel welcome and they feel part of the family. Another great example, I think, is our Arise program. It's actually led by Santosh's team, the WeWork Labs team. So the research that the team did, indicated that only 14% of entrepreneurs in India are women. So the WeWork Labs team has partnered with Stronger Ventures, and they've launched this program which is targeted at women-led and women-focused businesses. So as part of that program, apart from the pre-seed funding, they're going to offer about they're going to engage with about 5,000 startups. They're going to offer about 1,000 mentoring opportunities to startups, and they're going to invest in 100 women-focused and women-led businesses and startups over the next 5 years. So for me, that's such a great example of inclusion in action, and it really being beyond a buzzword and becoming a way in which you actually operate your business.
Absolutely, because many of the figures on the startup industry show that there are just not enough women at the top level. That's fantastic. So it's really affirmative, positive action there. Santosh, coming to you again. We've talked about the different kind of clients, the different kind of companies that work here, and each has their own individual needs. Yeah. But also within a company, things keep changing. Yeah. This is a time where companies grow, they reduce, they may have a bench strength, they may not, the numbers change. Their needs vary from month to month, maybe even week to week. The flexibility of WeWork, how does this help to cater to such changes, to such constantly changing needs?
So Maya, there was a recent report by CBRE which said that people want to come back to work for two reasons, right? One is collaboration with their co-workers, which during the pandemic they haven't really had that sense of collaboration because you're online most of the time. And the second was a desire to work in an office environment as against with the distractions that you have at home. So new styles have really evolved over the last 12 months, right? Whether it's roster system, whether it's flexible work hours, whether it's shift timings changing, whether it's work closer to home instead of commuting, and obviously it increases productivity, right? I mean, as you reduce even your commute time in a place like Bangalore or Bombay or wherever, whichever city you work in, it increases productivity because you're actually working a longer or better in a better work environment. From an organization's perspective, I think what's really evolved over the last 12 months is that people look at more agility and cost-effective real estate. Now, whether it means that they take space that they can grow into or contract, right? You can take space as you need or reduce space as you need. You obviously don't cater to a 1:1 anymore in terms of number of work employees to real estate, to a desk.
Yes.
And that's where I think flexible workspaces come into play, right? Because that's what we cater to, right? We give people the flexibility to have that growth in our system. And we have had many stories where people have come with 2 seats and now have become 200 seats. Or a 500-seater has become a 300-seater, right? Or you take multiple locations within a city as against taking one center. Now we have 14 buildings in Bangalore today, right? So if your employees are spread out in Bangalore, so you don't need to take one office, right? And we give the flexibility to work from any of these offices. So you can take a private office in one building, but the employees can go and visit or work out of any of the 14 buildings in Bangalore.
Which is a huge issue in Bengaluru with its commutes. It makes such a difference to life.
Yeah.
Fantastic. And you're not fixed with a 100-room office that you may have built at some time. You can change it to your needs.
Yeah.
Absolutely change it to your needs. Megha, back to you in the marketing.
Yeah.
For your Great Inspires Great campaign, what is the kind of media mix that you have chosen to get through to people at a time when you've said that there are lots of ads out there?
Yes. So traditionally, we've been a digital-first brand. So given we span a large variety of consumer cohorts, and we've discussed this that we have solopreneur startups and we have the Fortune 500 MNCs. So from an individual to an enterprise, we are a hybrid solution workspace provider, and there is no one size fits all. And the best channel that helps you do that is digital, wherein you can cohort them and reach them relevantly and not bombard various cohorts with messaging that's not relevant to them. So one, there is relevant communication going out to consumers. 2, you're delivering well on your media money. So I think digital first has always been the strategy. But in case of Great Inspires Great, which has been a campaign which has been launched after 2 years of COVID, and we didn't really do much at that time. This has been one of our largest efforts from a campaign brand building sort of point of view. And therefore, we went all out from a 360-degree media deployment. We have TV, we have OTT. Digital is definitely part of it. We're doing large outdoor, and we're using our buildings as facade branding. We're also doing radio, and there's a lot of on-ground stuff that will be done to amplify this, to ensure that there is absolute reinforcement of the campaign at every level. And there is a larger brand love across audiences, because I think when Santosh was talking about the whole pandemic effort, flexibility is now something that everybody is looking for. And when an enterprise or a startup thinks about moving to a new space, which is flexible, he should think of WeWork. And that was the big idea, saying we are coming towards the end of the year, companies will start reevaluating the strategy, and therefore our job is to ensure we are top of mind.
Absolutely. Coming back to work after the pandemic, Priti, lots of people are now moving back into the offices, maybe part-time, it may be a hybrid mode, but lots of people heading back after this pandemic which just swept across the world. What kind of changes, how has WeWork adapted to this world?
Yeah, I think first and foremost, health and safety was top of our minds, at the beginning especially. I think just ensuring that our members feel safe. So we took a lot of steps. We got globally certified by the British Safety Council, and it's basically we are basically, I think, the only shared workspace provider in the country to be certified in this way. So,
in terms of the hygiene practices, the health practices.
So the risk management, the control measures for health and safety, all of that, the whole gamut of that. The second bit, I think, is really about, again, coming back to hybrid and flexible. I think we are facilitators of that whole revolution that the whole world is seeing right now. So we've been at the forefront of that, just making sure that we can enable and partner with our members to help them adjust to these new ways of working, And if you ask a lot of CEOs today, what are the top 2 things on your mind in terms of people priorities, it would definitely be culture and it would definitely be productivity. Right now, culture, our spaces are designed for inspiration, they're designed for collaboration, but equally we also have spaces which are functional. So we have meeting rooms, we have conference rooms, phone booths, we have these little nooks which people find and decide to do some quiet
They'd be curled up anywhere really with a cup of coffee.
Exactly.
Maybe, yes.
So there's something in it for everybody, and I feel like we are this beautiful amalgamation of collaboration, being a social hub, but also allowing for productivity to, to get better and improve. And that's really our role as a flexible workspace provider.
And now the question is, how are people responding to that? Santosh, Martin, how is the business doing now and catering to the different people? And could you tell us something more about the mix of members who are actually part of WeWork and future plans?
Yep. We've been profitable since November 2021. And we had a great first quarter in 2022 when we did over 250 crores of revenue with 25 crores of profit. And month on month, our revenue and profit has been going up since then. You might have read in May we signed one of our largest deals in Noida, which is 660,000 square feet with about 8,500 desks. We're seeing a lot more of the landlords being a lot more, I would say, not embracing the flexible model, but also knowing fully well how the market is moving. We've had a lot of landlords helping us with that growth. In June, we had our largest month, I think, in terms of on-demand, and on-demand, which I spoke to you earlier about. We had a 2x jump in our revenue year on year. Like I said earlier, our virtual office business has over 1,200 members today, and that's again growing on a 45% run rate on a year on year. So we've had a good 12 months. We are adding another 1.5 million square feet by the end of this year, which gets us about another 20,000 desks. So which will get us to about 85,000 operational desks by the end of this year. We are definitely seeing a big uptick in the members coming in back to work. About the member mix, about 70% of our member mix is enterprise, which includes people like Schneider, Colliers, 3M, and a lot of Indian companies like Meesho, Byju's use our spaces. So we'll continue to see that growth over the next 12 months as well.
Oh, wow. Okay. So you're handling everything. There's no headache, but they get what they want the way they want it.
Exactly.
Megha, coming back to the Great Inspires Great campaign, what inspired it really? And of course, the color, the culture, the feel of the office. When we come here, we can see it's
Yes.
the way it is, the way the place is arranged, the way the place is designed and decorated. Was that really the inspiration, a kind of slice of life, of day in the life of WeWork?
It was, and I think it's extremely important that the brand reflects and the story on the brand reflects what the brand is truly on ground. But as a marketer, there are two facets behind designing a campaign. There is the rational part, which involves the research, etc. And the second is what is truly gut and emotion and what the brand lives on a day-to-day basis. We did both actually, and there was a whole qualitative, quantitative research done. We spoke to thousands of members, understood what really drives them to come to a WeWork every day. And it was beautiful how it married to all the concepts that we had from an emotional point of view, saying this is what we believe the brand truly is. It's synced up really well, and the whole space as an enabler to growth, and how they don't have to worry about anything but just focus on doing their great, because we're taking care of everything. The culture is great, the vibe's great. You get your productive zones, you get your collab zones, and you also get a great community globally which mentors and supports you to do your best every day. And I don't think anything could have summed up better than Great Inspires Great. And I think that's what sort of came alive. And it is beautiful because the film actually captures some of our employees, and we've tried to keep it very, very real. So what you see in the campaign is what WeWork looks on a day-to-day basis.
It's all candid. It's nothing staged.
No filters.
No filters.
Yeah.
Thank you very much,
Thank you.
Megha Agarwal, Santosh Martin, Preeti Shetty. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
for sharing us
It was lovely
all
connecting.
this information on
Thank you.
WeWork.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Thank you for watching.